Musonda, Marketing Manager Zamseed. And I think where you are here, this is Zamseed Farm. Zamseed Farm has been in existence for over 40 years. And where we stand here, this farm is about 1,200 hectares, out of which about 700, 800 is irrigated. We've got a big section called Magobo, where we do rain-fed. But where we are here, basically what you see in the background is a crop of soybean. Here at Zamseed, we do research and production, but mainly we concentrate on research. And what we do here is we're trying to come up with different products for the farmers. For maize, we do a number of research materials and do a lot of seed production here.
Zamseed has a lot of white maize, but also now is producing yellow maize. For a long time, Zamseed has been producing white. We have orange, and now we have yellow ones. This is very nice, and if you check, you see pollination. Sometimes, if it doesn't occur properly, you find there are gaps here. But you say pollination is done properly, the maize, the crop is filled. So that's how our new variety 608. We're going to see it on the market by next season. Is all over, and we are planning to plant more, I think, in winter season. How do we come up with the hybrid? Normally we should have a female and a male. These things start from breeder seed, where we are with our side, which you see is a breeding nursery and trials. Well, after they have done whatever part, they see that this is good, then they will bring it for production. But now where it is now, it's already on the production area. This plant on its own, maize, normally it has a female part and a male part. This is the female part of the maize. And the top here, where we have removed, is what? Male part. You see? Now, if you want to produce something like, when you say want to produce this person, want to bring up with a good children, they look for good wife and also like that to have a good children. So also, a breeder has to look for components to come up with this one. So, why do we remove the tassels? Tassels are removed. Why? Because we don't want this male to pollinate this one. It goes to remain the way it is. So we want someone, a man, to come and do the job. That's why we get the male from that side, which will make it to be called 608Y. Otherwise, if you just plant this, it won't be 608. It will be only 608Y when it has received the pollen from this male. So this is our good yellow hybrid. We'll see it on the market this coming season.
And in terms of research and seed production, research-wise, we want to come up with new varieties, obviously. And I think these varieties, we try to look at the trends and look at the demand of the farmers. Currently, let me just say the past few years, we have had a situation where drought tolerance materials have been on demand. So we have been trying to breed materials based on drought tolerance. We also breed on yield. We look at stability as well as disease. And I think what you may have seen is also seed production of other products. And I think here it's a good demonstration to show how we come up with the hybrids. And I'm sure you have seen that we have male lines and female lines, and we have different combinations, which is basically our secret on how we survive as a company. Besides maize, we do research in sunflower.
This is our sunflower, Medica in Magobo Field 10. As I said, you remember where we have come from. You saw there are some plastics covered on the sunflower. All those things was to cover those to avoid contamination by other varieties which are planted closer. But now this one, it has no plastics. Why? Because it's alone here. There's no other variety here where it is apart from this variety Medica. So we cannot cover this. Remember, for sunflower to produce a seed, this seed to be seen here, sunflower, it needs a bee, that insect. It goes and get pollen from one place to another within the field, and it comes here, it leaves something. Pollen is, you see, these are the pollen we are talking about. The bee will come here, these will stick to the legs of the bee, and when it comes to another one, again it lives there, it pollinates just like that. So that's why we leave this one open so that everyone is accessible to bees. They're able to reach everywhere so that we have more grains. So the sunflower normally, as I said, it needs about 1,000 meters, which is about a kilometer isolation distance. So you can see where it is now, all the way from that side which you come from. This is the only variety here, the whole of this place, Makoko. So meaning it will be the way it is without any other contamination. But if you plant something near there, the bees will just come from other varieties. As we find sometimes the color of the grains is either black, either whitish, or those mixtures, meaning there were some which was closer to it. Now these are what we call, they are OPVs. We are not restricted very much on that one, but distance is the same to avoid contamination. So normally sunflower, mostly you know how people they use it. They use for cooking oil. It's very good for making soap. So those are the use for. And the other things, people now are advancing in technology. They put other things like even these stocks. They use it for other things like some they take these, then they crush them, then they throw them certain places. Mushrooms are coming like that.
We do research in the groundnuts, soya beans, and sorghum. And I think this season has been good in the sense that we've had a good stand of a crop.
This is our sorghum, Kuyuma. We have other varieties, Zamseed. We have Sima, ZSV15, ZSV16, ZSV17. And this is one of the dwarf sorghum. They don't grow very tall, they are just on this stage. And where it is now is about 2.5 months. I think in 2 weeks' time, all the heads will be out. Within 3 to 3.5 months, all the heads will be grains. So our total hectare is about 10 hectares. And sorghum, normally people they ignore sorghum and rush for maize. This is one of the very important crop. Doesn't need much attention. Just a matter of maybe control the weeds and proper spacing, and we are able to harvest. Is good harvest. It's drought resistant. Whether there is no rain or whatever, as long as it germinates, you are able to harvest. So it's very important to the farmers to, if they see that maize is very difficult, they divert to sorghum. And the sorghum also is very important because some people they see just sorghum, but it's very important. It's useful. It's for shima. That's why you can make alternatives to maize, and also breweries. It's a lot of money for if you take for those brewery companies. That's what I can say on the sorghum.
We hope to have a few days and have farmers to come and have a look at what we have here. But basically what you see here is what makes Zamseed. So here we basically do research, and we will come up with small volumes of seed which we multiply. Now in seed multiplication, we have subcontracted commercial farmers in different locations of the country who do seed production on our behalf. And I think those are the ones who bulk to make sure that we have enough stocks in the country. Currently, I think we're doing fine in all the varieties, and I think for maize, we have products such as ZMS 402, ZMS 301 and 405, which are early maturing. We have products such as ZMS 520, 528. We have got products such as ZMS 606, as well as ZMS 616, 623 and 620, which are medium maturing. And I think in the late category, we have got ZMS 720 and 723. But I think the most outstanding one is ZMS 303, which we released last year. We call it ultra early because it's fairly early in the season. And I think somebody was asking me, as the season closed for maize, I said, yes, it has closed, but depending on what you exactly want to achieve. because for people who want to do green maize, we still have ZMS 303 that they can plant, or 404 or 405, sorry. And I think what we haven't seen here is a range of vegetables. I think you only saw okra, which is being produced, but we do other products such as impua, such as amaranthus, a bit of class of rape like mustard. We do production of that, of those materials here. Well, in terms of market, our biggest market is local, and our interest is to satisfy local. And among the local market, within the local market, our biggest uptaker is the small scale and medium scale farmers. The reason is that our seed, we produce it in a way that most of our seed is flint or semi-dent. Flint in the sense that our grain is roundish. And I'm sure if you go in the market and you're trying to get green maize, or even the yellow maize that is sold as green maize, you want to have something that is round and solid, because they tend to have sugars and they are sweeter in terms of what you eat. But beyond the local market, we have good and strong market in the eastern part of Africa, in East Africa, specifically in Tanzania. We have a strong hand in Botswana, Namibia, as well as Congo. Tanzania, Namibia, Botswana we have a setup, obviously, where we have a manager and a setup of some kind. And I think our biggest destination for now will have to be East Africa, because of the numbers and that our seeds are very adaptable in that local condition. And obviously, besides the small scale farmers, we also are active in supporting the government. We do supply good quantity of seed to the government through the Farmer Input Support Program. We support programs with the Disaster Management Unit. We have donated and support programs with the Ministry of Community Development and different NGOs. So we are basically a company that belongs to the people. We're Zambian, and we're proud that we have come all this way and still support the policies as well as the development of agriculture in the country. Well, I think government has tried what they could. First of all, we started with maize as a product, and I think the government went and diversified. Now on the Farmer Input Support Program, you tend to have other products such as sorghum, other products such as soya beans, groundnuts. This is a form of diversification. And I think through the government, I think they're trying to make sure that farmers don't just produce one crop, but produce different types of crops. So the policy could improve. I know you will not satisfy farmers as 100% farmers. I know farmers still complain that they don't have enough fertilizer, they don't have enough of this. But I think this is a supplement. And I would urge farmers not to be dependent on the supplement. Farmers should be able to have a field like this and be able to be proud about it. Because if you want to have a field like this, you don't have to wait for the government to come and give you soybean. You have to come to Zamseed and learn, how do I produce a crop like this? Where do I get seed and things like that? And if you come early enough to Zamseed, we'll be able to give you seed at a good price, as long as early in the season. So yes, the government has been supporting, but I think we should be winding off from the government. Tomorrow the government may say, there will be no more programs. So I think as farmers or as Zambians, we need to diversify and go and indulge in using our own resources to basically produce what we want to. Because I think if we can become agriculture-oriented country, I'm sure that will improve our GDP especially. I think in terms of price, we're very competitive in the sense that we are priced in the market quite affordable. And the reason why we are is I showed you some of our seed production where we have three-way crosses, double crosses, and because we have three-way and double crosses, our seed production cost is lower. So we're able to pass that benefit to the farmers. There are other companies that do more of single crosses, and some of the maize is unattainable. It can only be achieved by commercial farmers. But we try as much as possible to combine parents within our production. The reason is that when you combine several, say 2 or more parents, your products, your material tend to be very stable. If you have too much rain or too little rain, they still be able to have that variation. And also, seed production becomes obviously cheaper, and we tend to be comparable on the market. Obviously, we have got products that are intended for commercial farmers, and these will be slightly expensive than the normal farmers. But I think our pricing is favorable, and I think it's very competitive. Actually, if you saw from the technician, he did emphasize that once you buy our seed and plant it, we do not encourage nor promote that you get the same out commission and plant it. The reason is you will not achieve anything because you are going to reduce on your yield. You are going to mess up the standability of that crop. It will no longer be called ZMS 606 or ZMS 638. It will be called something else. Now, if you want to recycle seed, I'm assuming that you're still going to use the same amount of labor, the same amount of fertilizer. So why recycle seed? Maybe you should recycle fertilizer, not seed. But if you're recycling seed, you're using the same amount of labor and fertilizer. Why seed? And the seed is the genesis, is the beginning of every activity. So we don't encourage people to recycle seed. What we sell are hybrids, and it's certified. Before you buy it, it will have a label to show this seed was tested on this date. The germination percentage is so much, it will expire on so much, and I think that gives assurance to farmers because each bag that they buy, say 300, 250 kwacha, is an investment. So you don't want to cut down on 250, but you want to go and recycle because the yield goes down. But if you get something that is assured, you know you'll get 240 bags, 140 bags, depending on what you want. We do seedlings, but seedlings we bring them in on the vegetable wing. Like I mentioned, what we haven't seen here more, besides okra, is that we have a wide range of products, different types of cabbages, different types of tomatoes. And for the farmers who want to do seedlings, we basically produce those things for them, and they buy a seedling. Yeah, I mean, a farm like this, you cannot do without pesticides and herbicides. You need to use them. The reason is it's more efficient, it's much more quicker, and I think we are talking 1,200 hectares or 700 hectares of production, so you can't afford to use handheld instruments to weed. We use pre-emergence, post-emergence herbicides, and obviously we have to use insecticides because we're living in an environment where insects can damage the same maize. We have armyworm challenges, so obviously we do those chemicals, but obviously we also preach and demand that when farmers use these chemicals, they need to have authentic sources and make sure that the chemicals they're using are biodegradable. Most of them, they know what they come for here, and I think they are dedicated to what they do. I'm sure you know that the job security in Zambia is not stable. So the people that we have here and we engage, we try to make sure that they are committed and they are positive, and they learn to understand what we demand of them. So I would say it's very positive. No, too much rain for us is a plus. Where we have a problem is when we have too little rain. So too much rain is a plus in the sense that we can nurture the other water for other uses. And like I said, most of the products that we grow here are very stable and elastic. They will be able to adjust. And I think our setup of a farm is set up in a way that we have areas where it can flood, areas where it can drain. So what is key is basically to come up with a product that will be able to be stable enough to survive the drought, the heavy rain. Obviously, we have a situation whereby the oil fields are flooded, and there's nothing we can do about it. And this has nothing to do with us. It's just that maybe the soil are heavily waterlogged. And for such areas, we recommend that farmers try to go into cover crops. Instead of doing maize, they can go into soybeans. I'm sure you know soybeans, even though it floods here, it will be able to withstand because it has covered the ground. So it depends on understanding your environment, what sort of agriculture you can practice. Some areas obviously may not need maize and soybeans. Some areas are highly recommended for animal production. So if you are going to go crop production, you have to understand your environment and try to apply what we talk about as a company. What we do is, and I think through the government has a wing they call Extension Service, and that's their job basically. Now farmers are clustered in camps, and they are clustered in cooperatives, and they all fall either under a camp officer or a district coordinator or blah 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 blah. So those structures are there, and what we have done as Zamseed, we have sort of developed our own system of extension. So we have got extension staff who are Zamseed employed, who go in the field to specifically go to areas of our interest to make sure that they educate farmers on our products. And I think these are food soldiers who are very vibrant and have done a very good job in the sense that we have seen an uptake of a lot of materials, Zamseed materials. Remember, our materials are called ZMS, ZMS 402, ZMS 301, ZMS. In the olden varieties, they were called MM. MM604, MM603. So to transform from the MM to ZMS has been a lot of work, and I think majorly that we have people on the ground who are able to meet farmers on a daily basis and making sure that they help farmers plan demos, educate them on how to apply this and that and this. And I think so far so good. When we provide the product, I did tell you that the quality of our grain that we provide supports the production of, say, maize for small-scale farmers, because they're able to harvest and keep this in a banner or in a shed for some time before the weevils can come and attack them before they harvest. So that becomes a demerit. And then on top of that, we have tried as much as possible to remain competitive, especially in research. So we try to come up with products that will be able to meet the demands of the farmers. I think those have been key. And obviously having a dedicated staff, dedicated team of work of staff, making sure that we are everywhere. We are in areas where there's a field day, there's an agriculture show, making presentation. That's what competition brings. So I think that has been our short journey of success. And I'm hoping that farmers, and obviously farmers have been loyal to us. I mean, for the last 45 years being in the market and farmers being loyal, it means a lot of appreciation from our end and from them in continuous supporting us. Well, the irrigation system here is a very unique one in the sense that it's called overhead, but it's uniquely set. We have a pump house and we have a reservoir, and we have got different sections that we can open at a different time. So we have a capacity now to do research, even in the most driest part of the time of the year. And so it is helping us in continuing with research and doing trials of certain materials. This is a plus, and I think it's not been seen anywhere. It's only unique to Zamseed, and I think it's a very good addition to our investment. Well, I think in terms of number of workers, I may not be able to give you the exact numbers because the farm manager just left. But here we employ plus or minus 200 employees, and I think most of them are on a short-term contract. Reason is because we have a big farm, and we have got seasons when we are off and when we are on. In the next 3 months, we'll be off-season. We're going to be doing wheat, so we don't need so much workers, so we get them as and when we need them. So we are highly mechanized, where we use a lot of plows and planters and harvesters, so that is taken care of. So we need farmers, I mean especially workers in the fields. Reason is research, or the biological kind of research we do, is very involving in the sense that it has to be natural. We have to detassel using our manual work. We need to weed certain areas using manual work, so we are still engaged in that. Well, the main challenges we have faced are maybe the imminent of a lot of diseases recently. Those have been big challenges. I mean, we've bred materials that should be able to withstand the grey leaf spot, the blight on maize, but there is always a new disease coming up on the market. Those have been challenges. As we speak now, we have got armyworm. I think there's no company that has bred material that will be able to stand armyworm. So armyworm is a problem. So now it's become a cost to the farmers because they have to buy chemicals and they have to keep spraying. And I think that's what I would say. Those are challenges, but are things that we need to live with and be able to adapt. For now, we just encourage farmers to make sure that they spray. They increase on their spraying. We also encourage them to know what sort of chemicals to use on spraying. And in terms of disease and pressure, I think we try to use the research team in the background to come up with tolerable or resistant materials to certain maize diseases.